If there's one problem with Boruto's manga, it's the constant regurgitation of subpar villains. And when I say subpar villains, I'm also referring to the decisions made by the character whether off or on the battlefield, rather than what they contribute to the story. In the sense that Momoshiki, for example, has been a constant looming threat and driving force for Boruto ever since chapter 2 of the manga, and I would say he plays his role in the story very well. However, he's not very bright, and by that I mean he's lacking in the intelligence department, along with the fact that the character is poorly scaled when it comes to his power level. So in this video, I'm gonna explain why that's the case, and I'm also gonna squeeze in Kinshiki as well, since they kinda suffer from the same thing. Now, as I said earlier, Momoshiki as a character has been a looming threat for Boruto ever since chapter 2 of the manga, because that's when he was revealed to us after Sasuke had his short fight with Kinshiki. Sadly, the problems for both characters starts in this very chapter, since it led to inconsistencies down the line. Firstly, let's look at this from an inconsistent power perspective. So after the brief stint with Sasuke in Kaguya's dimension, Momoshiki and Kinshiki came to Earth looking to consume the energy produced by Kaguya's Ten-Tails. It's then revealed to us, the audience, that they're able to sense that the Ten-Tails was separated and its chakra dispersed in various locations, which of course is referring to the tailed beast. They're also able to track down the chakra to its exact point of origin, which is how they're able to locate the 8 tails that resided in Killer B. This part is very important since it shows that their sensory capability is insanely overpowered. This is backed up by them being able to sense the Kyuubi chakra in Naruto from the location where they fought Killer B. And even though Kinshiki says that it's not that far away, it's way far enough for the Hidden Leaf village to not be immediately alerted by multiple mountain-sized Biju bombs going off. We also see that while they were on their way over to the village, Kinshiki said that he can sense multiple large chakras and that they're all gathering together. This shows that the sensory ability they possess is not just for sensing the Ten-Tails chakra because it's related to the Otsutsuki. It applies to everyone and everything. Now, though Momoshiki only says he can see them using his Byakugan, that doesn't mean that he can't sense them as well. We even see that he was able to sense Naruto's surprise attack from behind and easily dodged it. And no, the Byakugan wasn't active. We'll get to that later, trust me. So this shows that he does have some level of sensory ability, even if we don't want to automatically attribute what Kinshiki is capable of doing to Momoshiki as well. Now, the reason why this sensory point is relevant is because after their fight with Naruto at the Chunin exams, they abducted him while he was unconscious and took him to one of their dimensions to extract the Kyuubi chakra, which does make perfect sense since they wanted time to be able to do so uninterrupted. My issue here is that even with the insanely overpowered sensory abilities I just covered, Momoshiki and Kinshiki were completely unaware of the fact that 8 individuals entered their time space right above them. And by 8 individuals, I mean the 4 Kage, Sasuke, Boruto, Katasuke, and his assistant. All of them entered their dimension right above them, and neither of them noticed. Not only that, Chojuro was able to fire off an attack in order to slice off the part of the god tree Naruto was connected to, and both Momoshiki and Kinshiki were unaware of the attack until it already did what it was intended to do. The manga even showed the shock on the faces of both Momoshiki and Kinshiki as if they had no idea what is happening. In fact, they only reacted to what is happening above them when Dari was right on top of them launching a second attack. It makes no sense how these two characters who displayed such great sensory abilities earlier on just doesn't have them anymore, and they're caught off guard by such a degree. And for someone who is supposedly leagues above Kaguya, this puts a little dent in the armor since at least she was able to sense when multiple individuals entered her time space even if she wasn't able to see them. What's also interesting here is that Momoshiki says, so the one with the black cape used the Renegon, which of course is in reference to how they all got there. It makes sense that he would be aware of this since he literally saw Sasuke use his Renegon to travel through dimensions before. This of course leads into the more intelligent side of the argument, which is that Momoshiki just forgot that Sasuke had the Renegon, which gives him the ability to do what he just did. If he didn't forget until this moment right here, they wouldn't have been caught off guard in this way and even surprised to see Sasuke and the others. This would be something they expected to happen. And again, the character isn't very intelligent. Now, this is very different in the anime since Momoshiki and Naruto sense when the guys were at least falling towards them. So I guess you could say anime Momoshiki has better sensory than manga Momoshiki. I don't even know at this point, to be honest. There's also this thing where Momoshiki just doesn't use or just flat out waste the power he has gathered. For example, Momoshiki has the ability to create chakra pills, which Sasuke says strengthens them and prolongs their lives. By the way, this is confirmed to be the case by Momoshiki himself, so this isn't just speculation. Anyways, when Momoshiki had the 8 tails pinned to the mountain, we see that he had at least 4 chakra pills in his hand, which he then consumed. The 8 tails then fired off a massive Biju bomb, which Momoshiki promptly absorbed with the Renegon in his right hand. He then reveals that the left Renegon gives him the ability to return what he has absorbed at least several times the power, which he then does to the 8 tails, which knocked him unconscious. He then used his Renegon to absorb the 8 tails chakra from Killer Bee, which amounted to about 3 chakra pills. This is relevant since we see Momoshiki consume these 3 chakra pills before he created his Biju bomb-like chakra ball at the Chunin exams later on that day. Now there was a 4th pill, but that likely came from the attacks he absorbed from Boruto's ninja tool at the stadium. Now what we later came to realize is that Momoshiki has no more chakra pills after using this attack against Naruto at the stadium, and it's also implied that he barely has any chakra left since he doesn't use any of his abilities versus the 5 Kage when they came to rescue Naruto. And before you guys say he just didn't feel the need to do so, we see that Momoshiki is actually getting pressed by base Dari, who's not even using his chakra cloak, right? Like Momoshiki is literally flying away trying to evade Dari, and he simply couldn't since Dari was able to catch up to him and launch his attack. So either you believe base Dari is just easily Momoshiki level, or you believe that base Momoshiki was not at full power due to recklessly expanding his chakra at the stadium, which likely proves that he doesn't have that many active brain cells. By the way, this isn't even his most brainless feat. As I mentioned before, Momoshiki has the ability to turn chakra he consumes into pills, which he then uses to enhance his strength, refill his chakra reserves, and prolong his life force. He did this when he absorbed the chakra from Boruto's scientific ninja tool, and when he absorbed the 8 tails chakra from Killer Bee. Now what I didn't mention is that he did the same thing to Naruto after he was abducted. We see in the manga that Momoshiki was in the process of absorbing Naruto's 9 tails chakra when Sasuke and the others arrived. What's key here is that in the anime, Momoshiki himself states that they're just at the halfway point. This means that Momoshiki has absorbed over half of Kuruma's chakra, which is an insane amount of potent chakra. You just need to watch Naruto Shippuden to understand what half of the 9 tails chakra is capable of doing. Now the problem here is that, as I mentioned earlier, Momoshiki was getting pressed by base Dari later on in that fight, and after Kinshiki was bested by mainly the Tsuchikage and Chojuro, it's basically Momoshiki versus everyone at that point. However, for some strange reason, Momoshiki just doesn't consume the pills he gained from the 9 tails chakra. I kid you not, Momoshiki just stands there with this worried look on his face just as he's about to get packed up. He then decides that his only option is to turn Kinshiki into a chakra fruit and consume him instead, which is how we got this version of the character. Now if I played devil's advocate, I could say maybe Momoshiki thought Kuruma's chakra wouldn't be enough to get him to the level needed to beat all of them, so that's why he decided to consume Kinshiki instead. This is just me trying to make it make sense, although I highly doubt this was his actual thought process. The reason why I don't think that's the case is because later on in that same fight, moments after he got slammed by Naruto and Sasuke, we see that Momoshiki appears to be out of chakra once again. Like he wasn't dead, but he was certainly out of power at that point in time. We know this to be true since as soon as the scientists fired their attacks at him and he was able to absorb it, Momoshiki instantly used that chakra to heal and revive himself, then immediately disabled the Kages. What I'm trying to say here is that his actions immediately after getting refilled with chakra dictates what he would have done if he had the chakra to do so moments earlier. I mean, he even laughs and tells the scientists that he's truly grateful for what they just did, which again supports the point that he really was out of chakra prior to them attacking him. However, once again, this proves that Momoshiki is not very smart since he once again forgot he had the pills he gained from absorbing half of Kuruma's chakra, pills that would be substantially more powerful than some jutsus stored in a scroll. And you know, the funny thing is that after we first noticed this, meaning the guys and I over on Discord, oh and by the way, if you guys want to join the new Discord server I created, well, I didn't create it, Raikuten did. If you guys really want to join in on the discussions and all that jazz, you guys can join using the link in the description. If you guys have any questions, you guys can in Ping Raikuten. He is the admin of the server. He's a great dude, great skills, so just ping him or add him if you have any questions. Anyways, as I was saying, when we first noticed this, I thought maybe he had consumed them at some point during the fight, meaning the pills, but I checked every scan and every scene in the anime. It simply did not happen. Either he forgot that he had them stored in his Renegon, or he dropped them somewhere on the battlefield. However, what kind of cemented the idea that Momoshiki is operating using like probably 2 brain cells is that we later saw that after Momoshiki pinned down the Kages and Boruto knocked him over with a small Rasengan, Momoshiki summoned the chakra pills he had created when he absorbed Kurama's chakra. So this proves that he did have the pills all this time and just forgot to use them for some weird reason. It just doesn't make sense. The only way it does make sense is if the character is just like the closest thing to the R word, which I can't see on YouTube for some weird reason, but you get my point. Then there's this thing with the Byakugan Momoshiki never uses in battle, and I mean never uses in battle. I specified in battle because he has used it on other occasions. I believe the first time we saw it was when he was flying over to the Hidden Leaf village after defeating Killer Bee. What makes this even more frustrating is the fact that just like their sensor abilities, the Byakugans they possess seems to be insanely overpowered as well, in the sense that Momoshiki was able to see everyone in the stadium while he was miles away from the village. In fact, he could see Kurama's chakra inside Naruto in the form of a fox even from that distance. He later used it to view Boruto's and Naruto's destiny or whatever, then that was it. I believe he used it when he was viewing Boruto's fate again after dying, but I'm not sure. I don't think that matters really. Either way, he just doesn't use the dojutsu in battle for some weird reason. This even continued after taking over Boruto's body in the form of Borushiki. Even though the dojutsu is literally right there in his right eye, he just doesn't activate it at all. We can't even say maybe he doesn't need it because he's that strong, because he doesn't use it when he's backed into a corner either. Before I was like maybe the Otsutsuki can use the abilities of the dojutsu without the veins popping up, because it's possible that that was just an effect of a lower life form like the Hyuga using a powerful dojutsu. However, we can see that this still happens when Momoshiki and Ishiki use the dojutsu, so it's clearly a requirement for them as well. It's just weird. As I mentioned earlier, this is the same for Kinshiki as well. For some reason he just doesn't use his body augmentation and his lightning cloak versus Sasuke and the other Kages when he used it versus Sasuke back in Kaguya's dimension. It's so weird that he would use it versus one person but not against the same person and 5 other people. It just doesn't make sense. There's also this brainless scene with Kinshiki as well, where instead of finishing off Chojiro, again Chojiro, after slicing him on his chest, he decides to stop mid-swing to tell Chojiro that he's wide open. I mean, why would you need to tell him that he's wide open? I'm pretty sure he knows he's wide open. That is just so weird. And when Chojiro replied saying, "As are you," Kinshiki just stood there with this brainlet look on his face doing nothing, which in turn provided enough time for the Tsuchikage to pop up from the ground and send him flying with a single punch. I kid you not, Kinshiki just stood there like an idiot and simply could not react. You know, maybe if he activated his Byakugan, which enhances their field of vision to 360 degrees, he would have seen that attack coming a mile away, but here we are. Mind you, these beings are supposedly over 1,000-year-old and conquered multiple planets, beings that supposedly have over 1,000 years of quote-unquote battle experience. They must have been battling fathers all this time, because this is just embarrassing to be honest. At this point, it's either we agree that these characters are simply brainless, or we just chalk it up to bad writing. You have to pick one. I also wanted to touch on the power level of Fuse Momoshiki, because I think people tend to ignore the context of his fight with Naruto to scale Fuse Momo way higher than he should be. What people need to consider is that the Naruto who fought this full power, again full power Momo, was nowhere near full power himself. We have to remember that even before the fight began, Naruto used up a lot of his chakra and Kurama's chakra to contain the attack at the Chunin exams so that the villagers wouldn't get hurt. Yes, in 6-path Sage mode, he's using both his and Kurama's chakra even in the avatar state. This was confirmed back in the war arc when he first awakened KCM2. So after expelling that much chakra to contain the blast, a blast he could have easily countered as stated by Sasuke himself, Naruto was knocked unconscious. Momoshiki then proceeded to absorb Kurama's chakra for hours after the battle since Naruto was resisting. This added to his fatigue since we know extracting a tail beast can lead to the user's death since it reduces their life force. Naruto could barely stand and was barely conscious when Sasuke saved him, so this confirmed that he was heavily fatigued. We also have to note that since Momoshiki absorbed over 50% of Koruma's chakra that was remaining after they tanked the attack at the Chunin exams, this means that the Naruto who fought Fuse Momo was heavily fatigued and had less than 50% of Koruma's chakra. Not 50% of Koruma's chakra, he had less than 50%. And let me explain this again for people who are gonna say this doesn't make sense. Naruto used a lot of his and Koruma's chakra at the stadium to contain Momoshiki's attack, which means that he expelled a lot of his and Koruma's chakra already. So when Momoshiki absorbed half of what is left, this means that Naruto has less than half of Koruma's original amount. And again, if you want to know what half of Koruma's chakra is capable of, just go back to Naruto Shippuden and you'll understand. So this is very simple. And again, he was able to go toe-to-toe with Momoshiki in the anime and won their brief 1v1 tussle, while Momoshiki got absolutely demolished in the manga. You just have to read the panels. 6-pass Sage Mode Naruto 1v1 Fuse Momo and demolished him while he was fatigued and had less than 50% of Koruma's chakra. Yes, Momoshiki slammed the Kuruma avatar, but that was a less than 50% Kuruma. So that literally means nothing to an hypothetical full power Naruto. It literally means nothing. Naruto didn't even bother using Boruto to amp his strength and had faith in his 12-year-old son that he could pack up Fuse Momo, who just healed and stacked upon power by eating the pills he gained from absorbing half of Koruma's remaining chakra. And yes, Fuse Momo died to a giant Rasengan given to Boruto by a weakened, fatigued base Naruto. With all that, it's very clear that full power non-fatigued Naruto would absolutely fold Fuse Momoshiki on any given day. It's very clear. Now, when it comes to Momoshiki's abilities to absorb chakra and then stack upon power and all that jazz, this is an ability he's only able to use if the person he's fighting continuously gives him chakra to absorb, which we know they wouldn't do in the fight as we watch them defeat Momoshiki using taijutsu because of this very reason. People are saying that Momoshiki is nerfed because he couldn't use that ability. That's not being nerfed, that's your opponents not being stupid. Like, that's not a nerf. A nerf would be if there's a ample time for him to use that ability and ample great valid reason for him to use it and he doesn't, or this power was removed for some reason. A character being smart in battle and not giving you free power for you to use is not you being nerfed. That's just a character being smart, okay? Like, it's very simple. So I want people to stop that nonsense. Full power Naruto is way stronger than full power Fuse Momoshiki. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. So as I said, the character is very inconsistent when it comes to like the power scaling, because when we get to like Borushiki, it's kind of wonky and all that jazz, but I'll save that for another video because I'm tired at this point. So let me know your thoughts on this video itself. Drop a comment in the comments, and of course, like, where would you drop it? You know, of course, it's in the comments. Drop a like if you like the video and subscribe if you're new. And also, if you have any problems with Boruto that you noticed and you want me to cover it or like see what's happening there, just drop it in the comment section. I'll probably make a video on it. So again, just let me know in the comments. And yeah, that's it. Bye.